Brace yourself for a story of betrayal and revenge that'll leave you speechless. Tyler's coming to graduation with us. My name's Nathan Cole. I'm 47. Been a financial advisor in Charlotte for 23 years. Built a solid practice helping families plan for their futures. Never thought I'd need to plan for my own wife stabbing me in the back. Lindsay said it like she was announcing dinner plans, standing in our kitchen, coffee mug in hand, not even looking at me. Just threw it out there like it was the most natural thing in the world. Tyler, I repeated, your personal trainer. He's become a good friend to our family. Our family. The words hit wrong. Real wrong. Wait until you hear what I found out next, it's a game changer. I'd been watching things shift for months. Little changes that added up to something bigger. Lindsay started working out 5 times a week instead of 3. New clothes appeared in her closet. Expensive stuff I didn't remember her buying. She'd disappear for hours on weekends, claiming she was running errands that used to take 30 minutes. Isabella's graduation is a family event, I said. Tyler is family now. She finally looked at me when she said it. Something cold in her eyes I'd never seen before. Like she was daring me to make a scene. I didn't take the bait, just nodded and walked out to my truck. Sitting in the driveway, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through our bank statements. Nothing unusual there. Credit cards looked normal, too, but that didn't mean much. Lindsay was smart. If she was planning something, she'd be careful about it. The graduation was 3 weeks away. Isabella had worked her ass off to get her degree in business administration. 4 years at University of North Carolina, maintaining a 3.8 grade point average while working part-time. She deserved better than whatever drama was brewing between her parents. I started the truck and drove to my office. Had a meeting with the Henderson family about their retirement planning. Simple stuff. But sitting across from them, watching how they looked at each other after 35 years of marriage, something twisted in my gut. They trusted each other completely, finished each other's sentences, made decisions together. When had Lindsay and I stopped doing that? Back home that evening, I found her on the phone in the bedroom. Door closed. She was laughing at something, voice softer than it had been with me in months. When she came downstairs an hour later, I was reading on the couch. Who was that? I asked. Just Isabella, talking about graduation plans. Isabella was at work. I dropped her lunch off at the restaurant that afternoon. 22 years we'd been married. Met when I was 25, fresh out of college, working at a small investment firm downtown. Lindsay was 23, teaching elementary school, full of life and plans for the future. We built everything together, saved for the down payment on our house by eating ramen and skipping vacations. When Isabella was born, Lindsay took 3 years off work to stay home. I picked up extra clients, worked weekends, did whatever it took to make sure we stayed afloat. Those were good years. Hard but good. We were a team. The cracks started small. Maybe 5 years ago. Lindsay went back to work part-time when Isabella started high school. She was restless. Said she needed something for herself. I supported that, encouraged it. She joined the gym where Tyler worked. Started going religiously. Came home energized, talking about her workout routines, her new friends there. At first, I was happy she'd found something she enjoyed. But the conversations at dinner changed. Used to be about our days, Isabella's school activities, weekend plans. Gradually, it became Lindsay talking about gym drama, Tyler's advice about nutrition, Tyler's opinion on this or that. Tyler said this, Tyler thinks that. Tyler recommended we try some new restaurant. I should have paid attention earlier. The phone calls started around the same time. Long conversations she'd take in another room. When I asked about them, she'd say it was her sister or her friend Janet from work. But I knew how Lindsay talked to her sister. This was different. Money wasn't disappearing, but new things kept showing up. A designer purse she claimed was on sale. Expensive workout clothes. A spa day gift certificate she said Janet had given her. Isabella noticed it too. Asked me one night if everything was okay between her mom and me. Things seemed different. She said, I told her parents go through phases. People change. It was normal. But sitting in my home office that night, looking at 22 years of financial records, I realized how exposed we were. Everything was joint. House, cars, investment accounts, business assets. We'd built our life assuming we'd always be on the same side. The postnuptial agreement we'd signed 8 years ago was buried in my filing cabinet. Lindsay's idea, actually. She'd worried about liability issues with my business. Wanted to protect our family assets if anything went wrong. The document was thorough, very thorough, including a clause about infidelity. I pulled it out and read it again, every word. Then I made some phone calls. Stick with Jake's revenge for the shocking truth that changed everything. The confirmation came on a Tuesday morning. I was reviewing client portfolios when my phone buzzed. Text message from a number I didn't recognize. Photo attached. Lindsay and Tyler at a hotel restaurant downtown. Not sitting across from each other like friends. Sitting next to each other, his hand on her thigh, her head on his shoulder. The message read, "Thought you should know. Hotel security has more if you need it." I stared at the photo for 10 minutes. Then I called the number. "This is Kevin Walsh. I work security at the Marriott downtown. Your wife's been a regular here for about 4 months. Always the same room. Always with the same guy. Why are you telling me this? My brother went through the same thing. Wish someone had told him sooner." I thanked him and hung up. The weird thing was, I wasn't angry. Not yet. I felt something else. Relief, maybe, like I'd been holding my breath for months and could finally exhale. At least now I knew. I drove home early and sat in my truck in the driveway. Our house looked the same as always. 2-story colonial, blue shutters, the garden Lindsay had planted when Isabella was little. From the outside, we looked like any other successful middle-class family. But everything was different now. Isabella's car wasn't there. She was at her part-time job at the coffee shop near campus. Lindsay's car was gone, too. Probably at the gym or the hotel. I went inside and made myself a sandwich. Sat at the kitchen table where we'd eaten thousands of meals together. Made thousands of decisions, planned our daughter's future. The graduation invitation was stuck to the refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a mortar board. Isabella had been so proud when she handed it to us. First person in either of our families to graduate college. "I want both my parents there," she'd said. "Front row, this is our moment. Our moment." I finished my sandwich and walked to my home office, pulled out the postnuptial agreement again and read every line. Then I opened my laptop and started making lists, asset protection strategies, trust formations, documentary evidence requirements. I'd spent 2 decades helping families plan for their financial security. Time to put that expertise to work for myself. My phone rang around 6 p.m. "Lindsay. I'll be late tonight, having dinner with Janet. Girl talk about the graduation." "Sounds good," I said. "Take your time." After I hung up, I called my attorney, then my accountant, then a private investigator whose business card had been sitting in my desk drawer for 3 years. The graduation was 17 days away. I had work to do. I decided to test the waters 2 weeks before graduation. Casual conversation over morning coffee. "Been thinking about the graduation seating," I said. "Maybe Tyler should sit with his own family instead of ours. Keep things simple." Lindsay's coffee mug stopped halfway to her lips. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just that it's a family day. Parents, grandparents, close relatives. Tyler doesn't really fit that category." Her face shifted. Guard went up instantly. "Tyler has been incredibly supportive of our family. He deserves to be there." "Supportive how?" "Wrong question." I knew it the second I asked it, but I wanted to see her reaction. She sat down her mug and looked at me like I was being unreasonable. He's been a good friend during a difficult time. What difficult time? This. She gestured between us, the way things have been lately. So now it was my fault. The distance, the secrets, the late nights. I was the problem. I haven't noticed any particular difficulties, I said. That's exactly the problem, Nathan. You don't notice anything anymore. She stood up and started clearing the table with sharp, angry movements. You're always working, always focused on your clients and their problems. When's the last time you asked how I'm doing? Really asked. I wanted to point out that I'd asked just last week when she came home from one of her long errands looking upset. She'd brushed me off, said it was nothing, but I kept quiet. Let her talk. Tyler listens. He cares about what I'm going through. He makes me feel like I matter. There it was. The justification, the way she was rewriting our history to make herself the victim and him the hero. So, he's coming to graduation. I said, yes, and if that bothers you, maybe you should think about why. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I'm going to the gym. Don't wait up tonight. Tyler and I are grabbing dinner after my session. The door slammed behind her. I sat at the kitchen table for another hour, drinking coffee and thinking. Then I called Kevin Walsh at the hotel. I need copies of everything you have, I said. Hotel records, security footage, credit card receipts, all of it. That's a lot of documentation. Might take a few days to compile. Money is not an issue. I need it thorough and I need it legal, admissible in court if necessary. I understand. Give me a week. That afternoon, I met with my attorney, James Morrison. We'd known each other for 15 years. He'd handled the incorporation of my business, our wills, the postnuptial agreement. This is a solid document, he said, reviewing the agreement. If you can prove infidelity, she forfeits any claim to business assets, investment accounts, even spousal support. What about the house? Joint property acquired before the agreement. She'd be entitled to half, but you could force a sale. And if I moved assets before filing? He looked at me carefully. Depends on how you move them and when. Asset hiding is illegal. Asset protection is not. Explain the difference. Asset protection involves legal structures put in place for legitimate purposes. Trusts, business entities, retirement accounts. As long as they're established and funded for valid reasons, they're protected. I nodded. What constitutes a valid reason? Estate planning, tax efficiency, creditor protection, providing for your daughter's future. We talked for 2 hours. When I left his office, I had a clear understanding of what I could and couldn't do. More importantly, I had a timeline. Everything had to be in place before I confronted Lindsay. Once she knew I knew, she'd lawyer up and start fighting for everything she could get. But if the assets were already protected, already moved into legitimate structures, there'd be nothing left to fight over. That evening, I called Isabella. How's school going? Everything ready for graduation? Almost done with finals. I'm so excited, Dad. This feels like the beginning of everything. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Really proud. Will you and Mom be okay at graduation? I mean, things seem tense lately. I closed my eyes. Smart kid. Too smart. Everything will be fine, I said. This is your day. Nothing's going to spoil that. Kevin Walsh delivered the documentation on a Thursday. Hotel records going back 6 months, security footage from lobby cameras, credit card receipts from the restaurant and room service. It was worse than I'd thought. They'd been meeting twice a week, sometimes 3 times. Always the same room, always charged to a credit card I didn't recognize. When I called the number on the card, it went to Tyler's voicemail. He was paying for their affair. That stung more than it should have. The footage showed them arriving separately, leaving separately. Careful, practiced. This wasn't a recent thing that had gotten out of hand. This was deliberate, ongoing deception. But the real punch came when I found the paperwork hidden in Lindsay's jewelry box. Underneath the earrings she never wore was a folder. Inside were printouts from real estate websites. Condos in Charleston. Apartments in Asheville. All of them for rent. All of them circled in red ink. There was also a handwritten note in Lindsay's writing. Need to establish residency by June. Divorce filing July. June was 3 weeks away. July was right after graduation. She wasn't just having an affair. She was planning her exit strategy. The graduation confrontation wasn't going to be spontaneous. It was going to be calculated. I sat on the edge of our bed holding the papers, understanding for the first time how completely I'd been played. The gym membership, the new clothes, the personality change. Tyler wasn't just her lover. He was her transition plan. And I was supposed to be the surprised victim when she announced she was leaving. My phone rang. Lindsay. I'll be late again tonight. Tyler's helping me plan something special for Isabella's graduation. What kind of special? A surprise. You'll see. I bet I would. After she hung up, I called my accountant. Robert, I need to establish a trust. Educational trust for Isabella. Transfer some assets for tax purposes. What kind of assets? Investment portfolio, some business interests, maybe a property transfer. That's a significant move, Nathan. Any particular reason for the timing? Estate planning. Want to get things in order while Isabella is starting her adult life. It wasn't a lie. Not exactly. We met the next morning. Robert had drawn up the paperwork overnight, an irrevocable educational trust with Isabella as the sole beneficiary. I would serve as trustee until she turned 30, but the assets belonged to her. This protects the funds from creditors, divorces, lawsuits, Robert explained. Once you transfer assets into the trust, they're no longer part of your personal estate. What about the house? You could transfer your half to the trust, leave your wife with her 50%, but she couldn't force a sale without your daughter's consent as the trust beneficiary. I signed the papers that afternoon, transferred 60% of our investment portfolio into the trust, my half of the house, 2 rental properties we owned, the business accounts. On paper, I just gave my daughter $3.2 million. In reality, I just made sure Lindsay would get nothing. That evening, she came home excited. The graduation surprise is coming together perfectly, she said. Tyler's been so helpful with the planning. I'm sure he has. She looked at me strangely. You seem different lately, more relaxed. Just looking forward to Isabella's big day. It's going to be perfect. A new beginning for everyone. She had no idea how right she was. The final week before graduation, I put the last pieces in place. Monday morning, I called Kevin Walsh one more time. I need a witness statement, someone who can testify about what they observed if this goes to court. Already prepared, he said. Dates, times, room numbers. I've been in security for 12 years. I know what lawyers need. Tuesday, I met with the private investigator, Helen Torres. Professional, thorough, expensive. I need documentation of their public appearances together, I said. Restaurants, events, anywhere they might have been seen as a couple. How far back? 6 months, everything you can find. Photographs, witness statements, credit card records, all of it. She handed me a preliminary report that afternoon. 23 documented occasions where Lindsay and Tyler had been seen together outside the gym. Dinners, coffee shops, a weekend trip to the mountains I'd thought she'd taken with her sister. Her sister lived in Florida. Wednesday, I had lunch with Isabella at the coffee shop where she worked. Nervous about graduation? I asked. Excited? A little sad. This part of my life is ending, you know. I nodded. I knew exactly what she meant. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Are you and Mom going to be okay after graduation? I mean, when I'm not around as much. Smart kid. Too smart. Sometimes people grow in different directions, I said. That doesn't mean anyone did anything wrong. It just means things change. She stirred her coffee, thinking. Will you be okay? If things change, I'll be fine, sweetheart. You don't need to worry about me. Mom seems different lately. Happier, but in a way that doesn't include you. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Whatever happens between your mom and me, it won't change how much we both love you. That's the one thing you never have to worry about. Thursday, I received the final documentation from Helen Torres. Comprehensive file, everything organized and indexed, hotel records, security footage, witness statements, financial records. I put it all in a manila envelope and sealed it. Friday morning, Lindsay was practically glowing. Tomorrow's the big day, she said. I can't wait for you to see the surprise. Should I be worried? She laughed. Actually laughed. You might be shocked, but I think ultimately you'll be relieved. Relieved. We've both been pretending for a while now, Nathan. Tomorrow we stop pretending. She kissed my cheek. First time she'd done that in months. Tyler's picking me up in an hour. We're going to finalize the surprise. After she left, I walked through our house one more time. 20 years of memories in every room. Isabella's baby photos on the mantle. Family vacations documented in frames along the hallway. Christmas mornings, birthday parties, ordinary Sundays that had felt perfect at the time. It was a good life. Had been a good life. But it was ending tomorrow. I called my attorney one final time. Everything's in place, James said. The trust is funded and recorded. The documentation is comprehensive. If she files for divorce, she'll find most of the assets are no longer marital property, and if she contests it, the trust was established for legitimate estate planning purposes. The postnuptial agreement is ironclad. She signed it willingly with her own legal representation. I hung up and sat in my home office looking at the envelope containing all the evidence of Lindsay's affair. Tomorrow at Isabella's graduation, everything would change. I was ready. The graduation ceremony was perfect. Isabella walked across that stage like she owned the world. And for that moment, she did. Lindsay and I sat together in the front row, playing the part of proud parents one last time. Tyler sat 3 seats down, close enough to be part of our family group, but far enough away to maintain the illusion of propriety. After the ceremony, we gathered for photos on the campus lawn. Extended family, grandparents, cousins, everyone wanted pictures with Isabella. That's when Lindsay made her move. Before we go to dinner, she said loud enough for everyone to hear, I have something to say. The family group went quiet. Isabella was still in her cap and gown, holding her diploma, smiling at what she thought was going to be another congratulations speech. Nathan, Lindsay said, looking directly at me, I'm done living with you. The words hung in the air like smoke. Nobody moved. I finally found someone who makes me happy. She gestured toward Tyler, who stood up and moved closer to her. Isabella's face went white. Mom, what are you doing? Lindsay ignored her. I know this is difficult, but I can't pretend anymore. Tyler and I are together now. We're starting a new life. My mother started to say something, but I held up my hand. The entire family was staring, waiting for me to explode, to yell, to make a scene. Instead, I smiled. Thanks for being real, I said. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the manila envelope. Since we're not pretending anymore, I have something for you, too. I handed her the envelope. Open it. She looked confused, but took it. Probably expected divorce papers or some angry letter. She opened the envelope and pulled out the contents. The hotel receipts came first, then the security photos, then the postnuptial agreement with the infidelity clause highlighted in yellow. Her face changed as she read. Confusion turned to understanding. Understanding turned to panic. What is this? Documentation, I said calmly. Hotel records, witness statements, financial transfers, everything you've been doing for the past 6 months. She flipped through the papers, her hands shaking. The last page is particularly interesting, I added. Asset transfer documents. Turns out when you were planning your surprise, I was planning mine. She found the trust documentation, read it twice. You can't do this. Already did. Everything's in Isabella's name now. The investments, the rental properties, my half of the house. It's all protected. Tyler stepped forward. What does this mean? I looked at him for the first time that day. It means the woman you're starting a new life with just lost access to $3.2 million. Don't miss the aftermath. Subscribe to Jake's Revenge for more stories like this. Lindsay consulted 3 different attorneys over the next 2 weeks. They all told her the same thing. The postnuptial agreement was valid, the asset transfers were legal, and she had no grounds for contesting either. She kept the house, her car, and her teacher's pension. Tyler disappeared the day after her first attorney meeting. Isabella and I had dinner the following month at her favorite restaurant. Are you angry at Mom? She asked. No, I said and meant it. Disappointed, but not angry. Are you angry at yourself? That was a harder question. Maybe for not seeing it sooner, for letting it go on as long as it did. Do you think you'll date again? Someday, when I'm ready. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, Dad, for how you handled everything. You could have made it ugly. Your graduation day belonged to you, not to our problems. Still, you kept your dignity. That matters. 6 months later, I moved into a smaller house across town. Kept my business, my clients, my routine. Lindsay moved to Charleston with a different personal trainer she met at a yoga studio. Isabella started graduate school in the fall. The trust fund I'd established paid for everything and would continue to provide for her long after I was gone. Sometimes I drive past our old house. The new owners painted it yellow and put in a swimming pool. It looks happy. I don't miss the deception or the careful pretending. I don't miss walking on eggshells or wondering what Lindsay was really doing when she said she was running errands. I miss the family we used to be before the lies took over. But that family was gone long before graduation day. Some endings aren't tragedies. Sometimes they're just the truth finally catching up. Thanks for watching Jake's Revenge. If this story of betrayal and redemption hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more gripping tales every week.